everyone, and this is James McClellan, host of the All the Stuff in Between YouTube show, the show about one person's perspective of living with muscular dystrophy. So thank you for joining us. We've been on the hiatus because my co-host Alana and I had some personal issues that distracted us from doing this third episode. So I apologize for the long stretch between this episode and the previous one. So we co-hosted this third episode originally, but there were some technical problems with the recording we did when the file was corrupted. So I'm doing this episode by myself, and the next episode I hope to have Alana back with us, who's going to host with me a show about assistive technology for people with disabilities, including muscular dystrophy. So today, we're going to talk about an issue of dealing with a very difficult problem that people with disabilities have when traveling on airlines. Currently, there are more accommodations being made for people with disabilities on public transportation, restaurants, public venues, businesses, etc. But the airline business and how airports are instructed, how airlines have built their airplanes, and the procedures with bringing people who are disabled onto the airplanes has been a major problem. And today we're going to talk about air travel with people with muscular dystrophy and other disabilities who require the use of their own wheelchair. The Muscular Dystrophy Association has posted 2 videos and also clips of other people with muscular dystrophy who describe the horrors that they have dealt with when traveling on airplanes. So I'm going to post all 3 links and additional links once I edit the show and I post it on YouTube and it goes live. But I'm going to comment on the videos that I will post in the description below. The first video deals with somebody named Madison Lawson, who has a severe form of muscular dystrophy, and she requires the use of a customized wheelchair. And she, in the video, shows her traveling to Washington, D.C. to advocate for better accessibility with regards to air travel. And she describes in the video that every day, on a frequent basis, people who use wheelchairs have their wheelchairs damaged and broken by airlines, and nothing is being done about it. And she points out that many people can become disabled, either temporarily or permanently, in their lifetimes. And so when she goes to travel to Washington, D.C., she has to deal with a long wait from the TSA employees to pat her down, and it's even longer because she's disabled and she's a woman and she requires a female assist. And that makes getting to her destination, getting to her plane, more difficult. She has to show up 2 hours beforehand. And the longer the wait is, the more she gets anxious, which is very understandable, about being able to get on the flight. And she describes that it's physically dangerous for her and others like her to get on an airplane, is that current rules state that you cannot bring your own wheelchair onto an airplane. So she has to have her customized wheelchair with a joystick that is customized to help her get around. It's motorized, and to also prevent her becoming injured because her form of muscular dystrophy is severe, and anything that can dislocate her limbs is dangerous because of how weak she is. And so even so the video is somewhat painful to watch, but I think it's important to watch it. When she is loaded on the plane, she it's very painful for her because employees who help her get into a seat are causing some injuries that she's worried might be permanent. And it's very painful for her. They're trying to be very careful, but they are not trained to help people with disabilities into an airline seat or airplane seat. And she watches her own wheelchair being loaded into the cargo bay below. And she has to use an airline wheelchair, which is not motorized and doesn't provide the physical support that she needs. And the process can be also very humiliating, and it can be very difficult for her, if not, and anybody with her disability and similar disabilities, to go into an airport and maybe change planes and reach their destination on time. And she, and then when she gets off the plane and is able to get access to her wheelchair, her own wheelchair, she noticed it was damaged. So she depends on this wheelchair, and if it's damaged, then she's worried that she may not be able to get around, or she's worried that she's going to have to pay a lot of money to have it fixed. And then she brought up somebody named Gabby Esseling, who was in a similar situation when she traveled on Southwest Airlines. She, Gabby Esseling, requested that employees help her go down the ramp, the jet ramp, and they refused. So she had to use an airline wheelchair, not her own, to propel herself forward. And because she had muscular dystrophy, she didn't have the strength and the coordination to do it safely. So she fell forward and was severely injured and was paralyzed and was bedridden and eventually died. And her family is suing Southwest Airlines for causing her death. And I'm going to post that link as well once I edit this video and post it on YouTube. And the other video I want to talk about is somebody named Mindy Henderson, who also traveled to Washington to advocate for changes. And Mindy Henderson went through something similar to Madison, and she counted about 25 people who, until the TSA arrived for her to help her with the female assist, and she had to wait on the side. And the other thing is that then another 25 people came. And so she said, but Minnie Henderson said there's so many more steps for disabled people to be cleared by the TSA than people who are not disabled. And she said that the process is dehumanizing. And she said that her specialized wheelchair costs $60,000. 60, not six. Yes, $60,000. And if it's damaged, the cost to repair that expensive wheelchair that she needs, I mean, it's astronomical. And so what these videos show is that people with muscular dystrophy and other severe disabilities have a right to travel. And they don't, and they have a right to have their own motorized wheelchairs that they need to be brought on the plane and not checked in the heart of and below. Because even if TSA employees are careful and are trying to do the right thing, wheelchairs can be easily damaged in the cart open below by other luggage, by thousands of pounds of other luggage. And so one of the things I also wanted to bring up is that according to the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, 26% of Americans have some type of hidden disability. And research by the American Institute of Research on April 18th, 2018, April 17th, 2018, shows that collectively, disabled people have a buying power of $490 billion in disposable income. Within that figure, disabled people collectively have $21 billion in discretionary income. So there's a hidden market that is not being tapped into well. And this is despite the fact that disabled people, there's a disparity in income for in terms of disabled people in comparison to non-disabled people, but still there's a huge buying power. And this market is not being tapped very well. And companies like airlines that recognize this are not only doing what is right in terms of respecting the humanity of everyone, despite disability or non-disability, but it's also good business as well. But the main thing, though, is the right to travel with appropriate, necessary accommodations should be a human right, not just a business opportunity. So that's more important. So thank you for joining us. And I hope Alana will be back next time for our next episode. So please like and subscribe. And thank you for watching this show.